I'm going to be talking about mate rates. Lost in, eh? 17 this year. Oh, to the HOWD crew, the HOWD gangsters. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I somewhere in the middle? Howdy gang, welcome back to Hang Out with Diggers and another episode of... Hold on, I think I've got a speck of... That's better. A speck of dust on the old lens there. And another episode of HOWD, grass cutting and gardening. So in this video I'm going to be talking about mate rates and the situation around that topic. But first I'm here to do... It's a little hedge and a very, very small lawn, and this is for my best mate's parents. They're knocking on a little bit now in age, struggling a little bit, so I've come to do this for him. And then after I've done this, we'll have a little chat about mate rates and whether you should do it or not, and the different scenarios and circumstances regarding that. So let's crack on with the job, and then I'll see you in a bit. go, guys. Nice and neat and tidy. That looks a lot better, don't it? A lot better. Cracking stuff. Right then, just gonna knock on and tell them I'm done, and I'll see you in the car or in my back garden later. We'll have a little chat about mates rates. Ost. Ost. Come say hello. Ost. Come say hello. Ooh, he's an old boy now, isn't ya? Say hello. Say hello to the gangsters. To the HOWD gang. Austin, eh? 17 this year. He's doing very well. Yeah, good lad. And Ted, you going to come up and say hello? Come here then. Come here, Ted. Oh, hello. Hello to the gangsters. Hello to the HOWD crew. The HOWD gangsters. Good lad. So yes, guys, I enjoyed doing that. I always enjoy how it looks afterwards, and obviously I did that as a favour for my best mate. So that street is the street where I grew up, and me and my mate lived right across the road from each other. Some fantastic memories. You may have seen towards the end there was a guy a couple of doors up, recognised me from when we was kids. He also grew up in the street, and he was visiting his mum and dad. I went and visited my mum after doing the hedge and the lawn, and there's some great memories of growing up there back in the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, fantastic times. But yes, mates rates, it's a funny one, this, isn't it? I learned very quickly once I started running my own business that, like, when it comes to the running of the business and the costs involved and what you have to deal with from people that don't understand, who've never run a business, I think that your mates shouldn't just expect a massive discount. And in fact, if they're real mates, they'll want to pay you for what you're worth. Now, yes, I did that as a favour today for my best mate. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, like, do favours for your family and your parents and that as they get elderly. Of course you should. That's not what I'm saying. But there has to be a line. Like, you have to draw a line somewhere. You can't keep doing everyone favours. You know, you can't keep doing everything as cheap as you possibly can for people, like for all of your mates. Otherwise, there'd be no point in you working. You know, you run a business ultimately to pay the bills and to make money. And I think that when it comes to mates rates, and me personally, what I've learned is that if I have a mate do a job for me, I actually want to just pay them what they're worth, because I think that the fact that they are my mate, the trust is already there. Whereas if you're bringing in a stranger, like, the trust isn't there yet, but you're still going to be probably paying them the same or more. So if you are getting in a mate to do a quote, don't just expect that they're going to do it a lot cheaper for you. You know, they might knock a drink off, they might knock a little bit off for you, but ultimately I think that you should respect the fact that the trust is already there, and they're still trying to make a living. They're still going to work just like you are to earn the money to pay the bills. So that's what I think about mates rates. Like, again, I just want to reiterate, it's not about not doing your mates a favour or not doing your parents a favour. I'm talking about where's the line, and ultimately it works both ways. If my mate's coming to do a job for me I want to pay him what he's worth. I don't want him to do it on the cheap, you know, because I want him to be here. I want him to do the job to the best of his ability. So with that in mind, I just want to pay him for his day's work. And if you're a mate, you want to do that. You don't expect it cheap. So yeah, I'm interested to know people's thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments, you know, from a customer point of view, from your mate's point of view, from a business owner's point of view. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I somewhere in the middle? And with all that said, guys, as always, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. All the best, and ta-ra for a bit.